Hey folks, welcome back to another OWTV interview. My name is Apostle, and joining me today we have the man who makes his name proven every time he steps on the screen. It's Lethal from Geekay Esports. Lethal, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So real quick, maybe someone hasn't been tuning into North America and they haven't seen you for a while. So can you quickly introduce yourself and tell us kind of how you've been?
Just the whole thing, sure. I'm Lethal. I currently play for GK Esports in NA. I'm Hitscan, and I also play for ISU Collegiate on the side.
Awesome. Now, you didn't start in North America. You were originally playing in EMEA. And did you end up coming to North America solely for collegiate, or?
Well, yeah, I started my career playing in EMEA from Dubai and Turkey, which was like super high paying. And then midway through my career, I got offered by Harrisburg University, one in Pennsylvania, to play collegiate for them. And that's why I pretty much moved to NA.
That's all she wrote then.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. Well, first things first, I want to obviously congratulate you on your match this weekend, and I want to see if we can break it down a bit. So this obviously felt like a pretty straightforward win for you guys, which at this point seems to be par for the course. Was there anything about the match versus Extinction that surprised you or you found difficult?
No, not really. It was like a blow-off game. We're pretty much focused on the other top 3 teams right now. Try to get a number 1 seed, and that's our main focus right now.
When you have games like this against like the kind of lower half of teams, do you kind of like see it as an opportunity to maybe be a bit more experimental, or does it kind of change the way you go into it, or is it just kind of clock in, clock out for you guys?
I'm not gonna lie, I think my entire team, not me, plays for fantasy points during these kind of blow-off games. So that's all we could pretty much say about these kind of games.
You don't buy into the fantasy points though?
Nah, because I'm Hitscan. I don't think Hitscan's racking a lot of points. I think, at least.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, this does allow you guys to maintain your perfect record so far here in Stage 3. You're only 2 weeks and 3 games away from a perfect regular season. So is that kind of something that you are specifically aiming for or talking about as a team?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we always want to get the perfect results, especially when we set ourselves a higher standards than normal. Because we really want to show up for these intensity or high intensity games as well as like the international games. So if we aim for a perfect sort of playoff round or seeding round, that'll be really good for us as well as going into the playoffs.
Right. Now, talking a little bit about you specifically, I want to ask kind of how you feel that your role has been going in the meta so far in this stage, because with all the matches that we've kind of had, and even in the Extinction match, we've seen you trying things that maybe haven't been in your hero pool prior to this stage quite as much, things like the Sombra or the Reaper that we saw at the beginning of the stage. So going back to the beginning of the stage, early on, people were saying that like Hitscan was dead, the patch just kind of killed it, and it was all about the double flex DPS. Is that something that you personally bought into?
Yeah, the early patch, that's probably really correct. Teams are swaying away from Hitscans. Even people who only played Hitscans were playing flex DPSs. So that was a really rough patch for me. So I had to just adapt playing sort of like Torbjorn on the side, Sub Reaper, which was actually really good. And then they had another patch which brought Hitscans back, actually. So Hitscans right now are good. Previously, they were really bad.
So you think it was the mid-season patch that kind of
100%.
brought it back? Okay. Now, even without you, or I should say, even with them now being a lot more playable, we're still seeing you pull out some things like the Sombra and the Reaper. Is that just because you're able to kind of make it work against these weaker teams, or are those things that like you are kind of genuinely trying to work into the GK playstyle?
A bit of both. I'd say whenever I play Sombra and Reaper, it makes sense. Like whenever they have some sort of triggers in their comp that allow me to do that, that's when I shift onto these characters. But other than that, it's mostly experimental.
Mostly experimental. So you are kind of like taking these opportunities to practice them in the officials as opposed to like just doing it in scrims.
Yeah, but when the triggers are there, then it's good and it's not really an experiment. But when there's like a little bit of a undecided on what they have and what's good against it, then it's more experimental.
Okay. Now, how do you kind of feel about playing like those kind of more engagement heavy heroes like the Sombra, like the Reaper, as opposed to like kind of the point and click heroes that I would say you might be known for a little more?
It's a little different because you don't really have that burst damage of like one-shotting someone or just two-tapping someone. So you gotta play pretty methodically. You gotta take a step by step, especially when you're trying to secure your space or control a side of the map. You know, that's something that's different when you play these kind of heroes compared to just Sojourn. You have rail, you one shot someone, okay, cool. Or Korea, you just two tap, okay, cool. So,
Do you think that that's something you're going to rely on more as you go into like your harder games in this latter half of the season?
I'm not sure. I think the fact that we could flex onto these kind of other playstyles where secure spaces kind of gives us an advantage, especially when we are able to do different playstyles in the same series as opposed to just the same sort of like idea we have. So I think the ability to actually change things is really good.
Okay. Now, I do want to actually talk specifically about one of your matches coming up because we have the match upcoming next weekend versus Team Liquid. And, I think everybody is kind of looking at this as like potentially one of the games of the season. And for you guys, it'll definitely be your biggest test so far. So what are your kind of expectations for that game?
Usually we go into these games thinking it'll be not close, but we feel like we'll be in the advantage, especially since our last kind of scrim results showed before we had them. Our scrims were really good against them, which is kind of surprising because usually in scrims are not really that good. So it does give us like a sort of boost in how we should perceive that upcoming game. I think we should be in the favorites, especially with our flexibility, but in the official, only those few maps kind of count. So I'm optimistic, but we will see.
Now, when GK is running in scrims, can you give us a little insight maybe into like what scrims kind of are used for you guys? Because we know that some teams, they kind of treat it as like, you practice how you play, whereas a lot of teams, they kind of think the opposite, and scrims are your chance to kind of go wild and see what sticks, right? So where do you guys kind of fall into that?
We use scrims to kind of widen our hero pool, widen our comms, widen our play styles. We just want to experiment in a way where whenever something happens, we have an answer to it, especially when it's something unique or something we're not used to. We always want to widen our kind of capabilities in that sense. And we don't really care that much if we lose or not, because it doesn't really matter. All that matters is the officials.
Now, is that something that like affects you as a Hitscan player, or given your role, are you kind of able to take more of a backseat in terms of strategy and you just like focus on grinding your mechanics, which is probably what you're most known for?
Usually, yes. I prefer to just focus on my mechanics, but especially since the early patch this season where it was no hitscan, I had to focus more on the strategy aspect of things. And now the current patch, hitscans are back in, but you don't really have that kill potential anymore. So it's less about the mechanics and more about the sort of strategy and just like thinking about what's the right thing to do. So I wish it was mechanics only so I can just fry people, but
just go on the flanks and pick heads.
Yeah, but sadly not every patch will be the same as the last. So if I have to adapt, I have to adapt. I don't mind just using a bit more game sense.
Well, I kind of want to go off that a little more, if you don't mind. You talk about like how this patch kind of has changed how you kind of play. So can you tell us a bit about how kind of your play style has changed going from like stage 1 now to stage 3, how you've kind of grown as a player?
Well, before I was very aggressive in holding angles and taking angles from other people, especially like side fights. A couple stages, 2 stages ago and last stage, I was very into just shooting up the tracer or like the Genji or just a flanker, just making sure they never get past. And now it's more like if I do that, I can get just one shot or burst it or just take so many resources away. So I have to adapt where I have to kind of be like, I have to imagine I don't get healed now than before. Before I could just fight people and I expect like some healing or just I expect that resources will come. But now, if I expect resources to come, it will really be painful for my team. So I gotta be kind of relaxing in that sense.
So kind of more independent in terms of resources while being more dependent in terms of like the play style.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, going back to the Team Liquid match like we were talking about and kind of talking about the different comps that you guys run, we see Liquid run a lot of the Kiri Lucio backline, especially last week. How do you think that matchup compares to like the Wuyang Lucio that GK has been running?
I think it's just play style, to be honest. Their playstyle is very beneficial to have like a Kiri Lucio type of backline. Our playstyle works really well with the Wuyang Lucio. At least when we play that playstyle, it's really good for Lucio Wuyang because we want to sort of make them fight for anything, make them fight for everything, you know?
Right.
So whenever we have that backline, we're sort of playing that kind of playstyle. But when we do have to swap over the backline, like if we get banned or like the map doesn't seem suitable for it, then we'll have I wouldn't say one similar to Liquid, but we will have one that works well. So I think their backline is very good for how they play the Kirilu.
Do you think it's easier for like you yourself to play into when you're not having to deal with Wuyang damage? Because that is one trend that we've been hearing from lots of DPS players, right? His sheer damage output and the range is very hard to deal with. So is that something that you found yourself, or is it kind of just like a skill issue? If you just click the head better, you win?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, the Wuyang damage is not as brutal as the Kiri, to be honest. Right now, Kiri can two-shot Sojourn, which he couldn't before, and Freya. So that damage is way more bursted, way heavier sometimes. Because every time a Wuyang peeks me, it's just kind of like a 1v1. If he hits you, you're just playing it poorly. If you hit him, you feel
better taking the Wuyang duel.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that kind of make you nervous, given that Liquid does kind of prefer the Kiri, or are you able to kind of?
Doesn't bother me a bit. I think they're more nervous if I peek them, to be honest.
So you're confident that you'll be winning in the mind games from the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't felt any sort of pressure since like years of playing Hitscan because I'm so confident in what I do that I don't know. It's hard to be nervous when what you think you're doing is right and what you think you're doing is good. So it's just about the opponents feeling your body language.
Yeah. Okay. Now, kind of moving away from the supports and talking about the tank here, we've seen you guys run a lot of ball so far this stage, but that is a hero that Infected and Liquid are known for as well. So should we be expecting to see a ball mirror here? And if that's the case, do you guys feel confident in that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I really wish we were able to show some codes on the ball mirror, but we can't. We played them in the ball mirror before, and we surprisingly slapped them around, but I don't know. We'll see in the fish. I'm actually eager to see it again because it'll be surprising what the score will be when we play ball mirror.
Okay, so if you guys are that confident in the ball mirror, do you think that Liquid might be trying to like cook up anything else to throw you guys off?
Yeah, 100%. I'm expecting like a hazard or a ram or something like weird. 100%.
Yeah, if that does happen, how do you guys kind of feel about your chances?
Skyrocket.
They skyrocket. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, especially early on in the stage, a lot of people were saying that this is a meta that very much suited Team Liquid. And, you know, we saw like Christopher from SSG saying that like if Team Liquid lose a game this stage, they should just like, you know, toss out their playbook, right? Is that something that you kind of agree with? Do you think that this is like a patch in a meta that suits them?
It's weird because it's hard to answer that question since there's two patches. If you're talking about the first patch, 100%, it was literally their meta. They have all their players on their best heroes, and they should be winning most things. But now it's shifted a bit. So now the best heroes aren't necessarily their best heroes.
So you think the midseason did weaken them significantly?
Yes. Yeah, I'd say so. Because they can't play double flex immune, which was their strength. Now that they have to be forced on more like hitscan comps and a bit more slower comps or even like, I don't know, whatever they play, it's still, I'd say still sort of their meta in that way, but not as strong as it was previously. They're still comfortable on those heroes, I think. They play pretty well on them, but not as broken as the other patch.
So in comparison, how would you say that this patch suits your team?
I'd say it's better, way better. Because now that we have hitscans back in the pool and we have a little more tanks back in the pool, I'd say it benefits us more. We were kind of struggling in double flex, so we had to adapt with some unique heroes and stuff. So now that we've went past that sort of situation, we're more comfortable with what we're doing now.
Right. So you got past that roadblock, and now it's smooth sailing from here.
Exactly.
Okay. So, kind of looking not just at Team Liquid, but even past that, how important are these next couple of games to you? As it is something that will determine your seed going into playoffs. Is that like, are you guys really shooting for a specific seed, or are you just confident that no matter what your seed is, you'll be able to have a deep run anyway?
I think those two things apply. We would ideally get the number one seed, but if we don't, it doesn't really matter because we will have a deep run in playoffs regardless.
So the specific seeding isn't really going to make that big a difference. It's more just to have that achievement.
Yeah, I mean, bigger seeding makes us kind of, I don't know what the word, like, create our own sort of path to getting through and getting qualified to Stockholm.
Gives you more agency.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now I do got to talk about obviously the kind of third place team from what people are saying, which is SSG. And from what we've seen, they've been playing a very different style compared to both Geekay Esports and Team Liquid. How do you kind of rate their style? Is it something that could kind of like sink their teeth into you guys, or are they kind of on the wrong track entirely?
I'd say they've picked up a comp and picked up a playstyle that suits them, which is pretty nice. People should applaud these kind of things where they don't play what everyone else is playing, but they play what they are good at and they make it good. So I think that's a very unique thing that they do, and it's actually strong too, because it means that most practices that we have aren't actually as good because they're like the only team or like one of the only two teams that play their sort of style. So it is something that we have to plan around, and when we do, then maybe it'll be a different story of how like easily counterable it is or one-dimensional it is, but so far, it's strong for them. They've adapted pretty well to picking their good heroes, and I think they're doing a good job at it actually as well.
Okay. Now, with SSG in particular, even though their tank line, Hawk obviously is a very different hero pool from Kuffa, when it comes to the DPS, they're kind of similar to you guys in the fact that they have the flex and the solid hit scan. Is that something that you kind of take into consideration at all, looking at them?
Not necessarily. I'd say that the only similarity would be the hit scan more so, because hit scan we both have hard hit scan players, but I think Will has a more unique hero pool in terms of flex DPS compared to their flex. Their flex plays a different hero pool to our player too, or at least more of a mastery on some heroes.
And when it comes to the hit scan, like Kronik, I think is a player that a lot of people do kind of consider as like someone who can step to you. Like he pulls out the Widowmaker, he pulls out the Cassidy. Is that something that like you've kind of noticed as well, or do you kind of see him as kind of this newcomer and you're confident in your throne?
Yeah, I mean, we were neck and neck ages ago when I was on Citrus and he was on, I don't even know. But then after that, it's been more like clear. At least personally, I think I have my throne still when it's a 1v1, but I've seen him play. He has his moments too, especially on Freya. That's the hero that he shines the most on. But when it comes to like the mirror, I'm pretty confident in my own playstyle. So I haven't really felt that much of a threat or pressure in that sense.
Would you say he does have like a different playstyle compared to how you play?
I guess so. He's very, I don't know. It just, the body language is different. It's hard to explain the difference that we have. I'm gonna just say like the body language because we move different in game. That's about it.
Can you elaborate at all on what you mean by body language? Because I think that's a new term that I'm hearing in this context. Is that like kind of just referring to decision making or like kind of like raw mechanics?
I mean, I guess it's the decision making, the movement, and where you place yourself on the map. Because the way I place myself on the map, you look overhead and you'll be like, okay, he's in a situation where he has to hit the shot, or else it's a bit of a tough choice for him. But I always have that in my mind where I'm just going to hit the shot. So I guess in that body language, that's what I mean.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. Now, I do want to ask, because again, Team Liquid, that is going to be your next match. Do you have any messages or statements you want to make on them?
No, I mean, if we do any sort of banter, we're the bad guys and we're just evil and we just don't deserve anything. And if we say too many nice things, we'll just be lying to ourselves. So
okay, Fair enough.
We'll just light up the match chat, to be honest.
Yeah, let the gameplay speak for itself. All right. Now, there is one more match that I think we do got to talk about, which is your game against the DhillDucks. Now, I'm sure most people could guess what a player's confident as you will say, but do you have any worries or concerns about them?
Not really. My team's just going to play for fantasy points again. I'm just going to sit there just like, okay, I'm going to shoot my gun.
Do you have like any concern maybe that if you don't take them seriously enough, you guys might be the first team to drop a map?
No, not at all. I mean, if a meteor comes and crashes our internet, maybe that's about it. That's like the extent I'm worried about.
Okay. So pretty much just like, unless there's the worst scenario possible, should be a clean win for you guys.
Yeah. I hope there are no meteor showers, because that's our game over right there.
Yeah, the DhillDucks are going to send an EMP to the team house.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that about wraps up all the questions I have for you today. But before I let you go, Lethal, do you have any messages you have for the fans or anything you want to shout out?
No, only that your love makes us strong. So keep on supporting. You'll always be stronger.
All right. That's very sweet. Well, Lethal, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been great to get some insight from you, not just on GK, but also on like how hit scans work in the meta. It's been lovely.
Thank you for having me.
And with that, we do come to an end of this episode. Make sure you follow Lethal as well as Geekay Esports on their social medias, which you can find links to in the description. And there you can find out when their next matches are. Make sure you tune in to see them back on the field. And of course, make sure you follow OWTVGG so you can get more interviews just like this and find out what's going on behind the scenes with your favorite teams and your favorite players. But again, that's a wrap for today. So thank you all so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you all next time.